Welcome back to AnimeAnalysis and welcome to another tier list. And this is going to be actually one of the most interesting ones I've ever done. This is the My Hero Academia quirk usefulness list. In other words, over on the left it talks about how useful these different quirks are, and basically I'm going to put them in the proper categories, and we're going to see who lives the best life in all of the characters here. So that's really cool, I like that. So we're going to start with All for One. And so our categories here are Unfair Advantage and Ordinary Life, Life Enhancing, Useful but not especially noteworthy, Useless, or unable used outside of combat slash exploitation. So obviously, All for One, when you have every single quirk that's an unfair advantage in Ordinary Life, you can't tell me it isn't, because he can literally steal anything you want. Well, no, his power is to steal quirks, not all of the quirks he has. It's to steal them, and stealing them is only useful outside of combat slash exploitation. Took a 180 on you, didn't I? All Might his is really useful. I would say Life Enhancing. Reason I say that is because he can use his All for One to put all his super strength into his legs and fly. Basically, it's like a big jump, not a fly, but still. The fact that you can fly is Life Enhancing, and that 100%. Is it an unfair advantage? No, because there's somebody I thought of that 100% is an unfair advantage. Yoka Aoyama, unusable out of combat, no question. The dude shoots a laser out of his belly button. I mean, if you try and convince me that that's useful in your life, then you have some sort of desire of zapping things with your belly button in your free time. You know. Mina Ashido, hers is useful. I wouldn't say super life enhancing. Her thing is she can put acid all over the outside of her body, which is pretty cool because she uses it on her feet and she slides for mobility. That's useful because you don't have to walk, you can slide everywhere, but it's not all that fast, so that's why I'd say it's not especially noteworthy. This is the firefighter guy. So this is probably useful in most situations because he can put out fires with his quirk. Pretty simple. Bakugo is also life enhancing because Bakugo, just like All Might, can fly with his quirk. But it's not an unfair advantage. I have somebody who's an unfair advantage. This is Best Jeanist, who's the guy who can basically manipulate the textiles of his clothes, and he's not that great. He's all right. I would say he's. Did I say I put useless in most situations? It's my fault. I don't know, man. Would I put him useful but not? Yeah, because why would you, other than in combat, when would you have to tie someone up with the own textiles of your clothes, Like, why would you even be thrown into a situation where you have to do that? But it can be useful when you need to sew something. I mean, yeah. This is Cammy, who we don't even know what her quirk is, so I'm just gonna say that. Oh, Cementos, dude, that's life enhancing. The dude can create anything he wants out of cement. Literally anything. He can make his own house in 2 seconds. That's so good, dude. Cementos is great. Dabi, he's like fire. Honestly, useless in most situations. The only situation he would be useful for is to start a fire. Otherwise, like, he can't. So that's, yeah, Dabi is not that great. Death Arms, he's a really strong guy. And being really strong is clearly life enhancing. Not as much as All Might or even Bakugo because they can fly, but life enhancing because you're super strong. Deku, you have to put him in the same as All Might. They have the same quirk. Makes sense. Ectoplasm. By the way, check the card on your screen about a certain information about Ectoplasm that I know that you guys might not know. Ectoplasm, extremely life enhancing, dude. No, unfair advantage. Unfair advantage. Okay. Here's why Ectoplasm has an unfair advantage in Ordinary Life. When you can make clones, your life is easier. Ectoplasm can do this with his life, okay? And I say the same thing about Naruto, because Naruto makes clones. You can make a clone of yourself, send that clone of yourself to do all the stuff that you don't want to do, and you get to stay home and do whatever you want. And then that clone just returns home, and then you make it disappear, and it's like you didn't even do those things, but you actually did. And it's like, wow. You had a great day because all the things you didn't want to do, you had a clone go do for you. So cool. Ectoplasm, unfair advantage in Ordinary Life. Not to mention, if clones in My Hero Academia work the way they do in Naruto, and it would make sense that they work that way, then all the information Ectoplasm gets from a clone, once that clone's gone, he retains in his brain. It comes back to him, which essentially means that he can also use those clones for tasks, like studying, for example. Like, I mean, he's a teacher, but like when he was in school, he could use that to study and essentially have like 4 clones read the same book until it's done, and then send all the clones back, and all the knowledge is in his head. Boom, like that. Endeavor is useful, but not especially noteworthy. Just like Dabi, it's fire. I would say especially useful, but not noteworthy with Endeavor, though, because Endeavor can put the fire on his feet, and that can melt the ground around him and cause him to stick to it. So we saw him walk up walls and stuff like that around the city. So the fact that he can do that is nice. Aizawa is also not usable in combat. His quirk is erasing other quirks. So unless he's in combat, there's no reason for him to need to do that. So no point. This looks like somebody in the manga. I don't know who this is. I don't know who this baby is either. This is the baby from the beginning. This was the kid. They explained this with the origin of this world, that there was a child that was born and it glowed, and that was the first quirk ever. Okay. I mean, not like that even matters. Gran Torino is life enhancing. Just like All Might, he can fly, but his version of flying is that he goes back and forth between 2 buildings, like diagonally. And he's got that like jet propulsion stream or something like that. He can definitely travel faster than a car can, so no question about it, he's extremely useful. It's almost like he can fly. Gunhead, yeah, no question. That's not very useful, buddy. These are some more people from the manga that I haven't met yet. Ibaraki, who is the girl who can basically she has vines on her hair, and she can put vines anywhere she needs to. She can detach them from her hair. She can tie people up with them. She put up a wall that stopped Kaminari's electricity. Stuff like that is helpful in combat, but I don't see how you would use that in real life. It doesn't make sense to me. So, well, what's the difference between unable to be used outside of combat and useless in most situations? She can still use it in combat. She can still use it outside of combat. I mean, she could use her hair to pick up things that she drops off the floor. So, yeah, useless in most situations, but not unable to be used outside of combat is what I would say. Tenya Ida, dude, super speed's obviously life enhancing. You can't tell me it's not. I mean, you never have to drive in your entire life. You just run everywhere. It's pretty great, isn't it? This was the tornado guy, and the the wind guy, he manipulates wind. He can also use that wind to fly. Once again, you fly, that's life enhancing. Kendo, she can make her fists like 4 times the size of a human being's. Way more than 4 times. I mean, she can literally make her fist bigger than somebody's entire body. Really, really, really cool quirk. When would you need to make your fist that big outside of combat, though? I don't think you'd ever need to. Kyoka Jiro. Useful, but not especially noteworthy. I don't think there's anything her earphone jacks can do that enhances her life and makes her life better. But useful because there are some things that I'm sure she can do, and she's pretty basically a human speaker as well, and some different things like that. I don't remember this guy, but this is the guy whose quirk was like where he subdued people in acid liquid or something like that, and they couldn't move. Not that great, not that useful outside of combat for sure. Kaminari, same thing. What's Kaminari going to do outside of combat? It's not like his lightning gives him super speed or anything. Kamui Woods will get useless in most situations. Basically, he's a human tree, and he can make the tree limbs grow on him, and because he can make the tree limbs grow, it's kind of like Shiozaki. You can use it to like pick up something you drop off the floor, or pick up something from far away when you don't want to get it out of your seat. So that's useful outside of combat, but not a lot whatsoever in any situation. I don't remember this girl. Kirishima, yeah, outside of combat, why would you need that? Koji Koda, unfair advantage. Listen. You can control any animal to do whatever you want. Okay? Let me tell you why this is so great. I have 3 dogs, okay? 2 of them are great. The other one's a little bit problematic sometimes. And so I get woken up at 6 a.m. most days. And I can't sleep for like 2 hours, then he finally shuts up and I sleep, right? And the reason why he's barking is because it's before food time, then my dad feeds him and that's fine from there, right? Listen. If I had Koji Koda's ability, I could make the dog stop doing that in the morning and I would sleep more. Obviously, that's an unfair advantage in ordinary life, and I would love to have that. Next up, Kosei Subaraba. This is the solid air guy. You wouldn't need solid air for any other time other than combat. Unfair advantage in ordinary life. Flying is one thing, but Kurogiri can teleport. So, like, flying takes some effort, and flying, you don't get there as fast as you want to. But teleportation gets you there immediately. You will never be late again with teleportation. I love that. This is the cook hero. That's life enhancing because he can make any food he wants. This is the Steven Tyler guy, and his quirk was the magnetism quirk. And you can use, and that the way the magnetism works is that you can, essentially you're magnetic, and you can bring anything and anyone to you. So that's actually pretty useful, but I wouldn't say that's necessarily noteworthy whatsoever. Mei Hatsume is life enhancing. She can see from up to 10 meters or 100 meters away or something crazy, the way it's her eyes that are her quirk. It would be really useful, man, to be able to see so far away. You know what? No. Like, it would be cool to see so far away, but what would that help you with, you know? What's noteworthy about that, other than you can see things? So, no, she's going to go right there. Midnight puts people to sleep. I don't think you can put yourself to sleep, so it's not that useful. So, it goes there. Minetta, actually, honestly, not quite life-enhancing. He can use the balls from his head, and he can jump on them and bounce on them. And what's cool about that is that it's mobility. He can also use them. They're literally like permanent tape, basically. They stick to stuff forever. So that's really helpful when you need it. I mean, way better than stuff like Mighty Putty that Billy Mays lied to us about. So useful, but not it's not quite life enhancing. I think you have to be like super speed and stuff like that to be life enhancing. I don't know who this invisible guy is. Manga, whoever. Mirio, life enhancing. So the only problem, so the cool thing about what Mirio can do is that he can phase through the ground, okay? You can phase through the ground. That is so cool, dude. He can phase through any part of the ground, any wall. He never has to walk through a door again. He can just phase through the wall. I think that's really cool, especially when you park behind a building and you can't get around it. It takes forever to get around to the front. Phase right through the wall, life enhancing. Yaoyorozu is what I was thinking about earlier, with an unfair advantage in ordinary life. So, just to remind you, Yaoyorozu's quirk is creation. Essentially, she can create anything she wants, as long as she's familiar with the way the object is made. In other words, she goes on Google and she says, what material is this made out of? And then she knows how to make it immediately. It's that easy. And so, because inflation is a thing, you don't want to create US dollars, right? But what you can do is you can create something that costs a lot of money, like gold. By the way, her family's rich. I wonder how that happened, because she made tons of gold and sold it to people. That's an unfair advantage in ordinary life. You don't have to work a day in your life and you're rich. I mean, the fact that she even wants to be in school and wants to study to be a hero is ridiculous, dude. If I could make tons of gold and then sell it and then be rich, and I could do that maybe just like once a year or something, I'd be set. I wouldn't be doing anything, man. I don't know why she's doing that. I mean, come on now. Really? Really? This is the guy who copies quirks. Obviously, that's the same as unusable out of combat. Mount Lady can be giant. This entire world is created for people that are normal sized. I'm a tall person, and the only advantage you get out of being a tall person is reaching stuff in high places, which you can also do with a ladder. And yeah, let's just do that. Who is this guy? Oh, this is the poison gas guy. Why would you need poison gas in a time where you're not in combat? I don't remember this guy either. You were one of the big three we never saw your quirk. Nezu is the genius guy. That's life enhancing. He's a genius, simple as that. But his quirk is that he's a genius. So that makes him even better than a regular genius. This guy we didn't see do anything. 13 literally obliterates everything in front of him. It's not that great, but it's cool. But you can't do anything out of combat. Baraka is very, very life enhancing. She can fly as well. Her quirk is zero gravity. Anything she touches with all 5 of her fingers floats. So that's really useful when it comes to carrying things, because you make it float and then you just slightly grab onto it so it doesn't float away forever. And that's really life enhancing. Additionally, she can make herself fly for short periods of time. 100% life enhancing. Ojiro, useful but not noteworthy. His tail is really strong, right? But you know what? No, he's getting useless in those situations. Can you imagine life with a tail half your size sticking out the back of you? I mean, you've seen how big this dude's tail is. How does he sit in chairs, dude? Does he have like a hole that he has to make in the back of the chair for his tail to go through? I mean, his tail is gigantic, right? I get it, but seriously? I don't know how he lives, dude. So this guy is one of the new characters for next season, but we don't know his quirk yet. Dog guy. I assume his quirk is that he's a super smart, powerful dog. Dogs have a strong sense of smell, so that's useful, but it's not really noteworthy. You're another character I don't remember. You are the support course teacher, and you have some sort of machine talent or something. Where did I put Mei Hatsume? You're going to go with her. Present Mike can make his voice as loud as he wants to. So you would say, yeah, that's kind of useful, right? If you need to give a speech or something. But to me, that would be the most obnoxious thing in the entire world. I mean, I don't see how that works. This is the nurse. Unfair advantage in ordinary life. The nurse can heal anybody in 1 second. Instantly. Can she heal herself? I'm not sure. But the fact that she can heal anybody else is stupid broken. These are some more characters we haven't met yet. Sato, he eats candy and then he gets super strength from it. I like the super strength portion, but the fact that eating sugar has to give it to you and he doesn't have diabetes is something interesting. I'm going to say he's useless in most situations. This is the guy, I forgot his name, but he turned people into like mud or something. I don't see how you want to use that outside of combat at all. Sero, unfair advantage. So Sero has tape from his arms. He's basically Spider-Man. He can swing with that tape and so on and so forth. Not to mention that he can tape anything he wants because his tape is unbelievably sticky. He has an unlimited supply of it. Unfair advantage, 100%. Unfair advantage. A little bit more than life enhancing. Unfair advantage. I don't know why. You know what? I'm going to say useful but not noteworthy here for Shigaraki Tomura. Because he never has to throw away trash. Or he can compact trash, I have to say. Because there's something left when he disintegrates something. When he disintegrates something, it turns into dust, right? So you'd have to throw away a lot of dust. But like, you have something you don't want anymore and you're just going to throw away the trash and the trash can's full. Turn it into dust. Boom. You can turn stuff into dust. Is it noteworthy? Is it super useful? Of course not. No question. Not that much. Hitoshi Shinso is unfair. Mind control is unfair. When somebody does something that you don't want them to do, you mind control them into what you want them to do. That's so unfair. Listen, if I could do that, my life would be so much better right now. Because I would mind control all my teachers into giving me perfect grades, and then I'd never do homework ever again. Wouldn't that be terrific? I would love that. Mezzo Shoji has, his thing is like listening, so that's useful, but not really much else. He also has like tentacles, and he uses those tentacles to like, wait, can he fly? He can fly. He can fly. Okay, he's going to get life enhancing because he can fly. 100%. Okay. Todoroki. So fire and ice. If you ever need to use ice on something, if you need some ice, I guess that's helpful. His ability with fire is the same as Dabi. It is literally the best combat quirk because there's no weakness, but there's no real life use either. Like, he can light a fire, he could put ice in his own cup of water if he wants to, but there's nothing else beyond that. Well, there is mobility involved. There is mobility involved with this because ice, he uses his ice and he uses it as like a wave. It's like he's surfing. So there is mobility involved. He can kind of light his fire and then use ice infinitely to keep his body temperature regular. So that is useful. That is useful. I'll give him that. Snipe is the gun guy. And I guess when you think about useless in most situations, the only situation it's useful for is self-defense. And all these other people have it useful in self-defense as well, actually. So he's going to go down here. Because he doesn't do anything else, really. I mean, the thing is that he never misses his shots, I believe is what it is. Hero Killer Stain, yeah, he can't do anything outside of combat. He has to taste somebody's blood in order to paralyze them. You're not doing that outside of combat. This is the hey guys, look, it's Sasuke. This is the other guy, the big three. We don't know his quirk yet, so I'm not going to put him in. This is the same as Kirishima, but metal. No difference. So where did I put Kirishima? Here? So I'm going to put him right next to Kirishima. That's Tetsu, 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 Tetsu. Got it. This is Toga, Himiko Toga. And her quirk is that she can transform into anybody that she gets their blood of. And what's cool about that is that you can transform as somebody, and you can do one of two things. One, you can mess with them. Or two, you could transform into like a rich dude and like get money and paychecks and so on and so forth, I guess, if that's what you want to do. You could transform into somebody you idolize and you could be them for a day. I mean, I just think there's a lot of cool different things you could do. So it's useful. I don't think it enhances your life because how are you going to get the blood? It's going to be super hard to get the blood. So it's not going to happen. Tokoyami has Dark Shadow. Dark Shadow is basically a living spirit inside of him that can attack. But that's it. So yeah, that's not helping him in everyday life. It can pick up stuff. Dark Shadow can pick up stuff. He can be here. Dark Shadow can stretch out while he's sitting down and go like 30 feet. I mean, Dark Shadow has a mind of its own after all, so that's fine. Invisible Girl, I mean, being invisible is helpful. I'm not going to say being invisible isn't helpful. It is. Being invisible is really cool. So it is life enhancing to be invisible. The problem with her is that she's permanently invisible. She can't trigger it on and off, and that causes problems, but it is life enhancing to be invisible. There's a lot of different things you can do being invisible, like get in everywhere for free because nobody sees you going in there. Suyu is a frog. She can breathe underwater. She can stretch her tongue out like 30 feet long. She can climb up walls. That's life enhancing, no question. Twice, this is the clone guy. I said the same thing with Ectoplasm, and I think Twice makes sense to put him in there because he can literally make clones to do all the things that he doesn't want to do. I mean, that's brilliant if you think about it. Okay. Moving to Vlad, who is basically the same as Best Genus, but with blood. So Best Genus is there, so Vlad's there. Yosetsu Awase, his thing is that he can stick any... He can... What is the word? He did it with one of the Nomus where he stuck the tracking device onto his body and he made sure it he fused it. He fuses items together. And so that's really useful, honestly. I wouldn't say it's life enhancing, but it's useful. So these are all the ones of people's quirk we don't know. So they're gonna stay here. They're not gonna go anywhere. So there we go. This guy is not from this anime. He's from somewhere else, isn't he? I think he got wrongly. I feel like I've seen him before. I don't know. Okay. So here's our list. So, quirks that give you an unfair advantage in ordinary life. Ectoplasm and Twice because of clones. Koji Koda because of animals. What's his name again? Kurogiri because of teleporting. Yaoyorozu because she can literally make anything, including money. The Nurse because she can heal anybody in 2 seconds. Sero because he can use tape to fly. He can use it to stick things together. He gets an unlimited amount of it. And Shinso because of mind control. Life enhancing. All Might and Bakugo because they can fly. Cementos because he can literally create anything. Death Arms because he's super strong. Midoriya because same as All Might because he can fly. Ida because he has super speed. Gran Torino because he can practically fly. Wind Guy because he can practically fly. Lunch Hero because he can literally make any food he wants in 2 seconds. Mirio because he can phase through things. The Principal because he's a straight up genius. Baraka because she can fly and make anything not have gravity in order to pick them up and bring them into different places. No matter how heavy it is, she can do it. Joji because he can fly, listen super well, and see very well. Hagakure because she's invisible. Suyu because she can climb up walls, breathe underwater, and all that stuff that humans should be able to do. Useful but not very noteworthy. Mina Ashido, firefighter guy. Best Genist, Endeavor, Kyoka Jiro. Steven Tyler guy. Magne, his name is Magne. Mei Hatsume, Minetta. Police chief dog guy. Teacher of the support course. Tomura Shigaraki, blanked on his name for a minute. Shoto Todoroki. Himiko Toga. Vlad. Yosetsu Awase. Useless in most situations, Dabi, Shiozaki, Kamui Woods. Ojiro. Present Mike. Sato. Tokuyami. Unable to be used outside of combat and exploitation. All for one, because his quirk isn't all the quirks he has. His quirk is stealing quirks, which you can't do outside of combat. Aoyama, because the dude shoots a laser out of his belly button, and I don't know why you'd want to do that any other time but in combat. Kami, because we don't really know what her quirk is yet, so actually she can't even be on this list. Aizawa, because his quirk is erasing quirks. Gunhead, because he has a gun for his head, and that doesn't really make sense. Kendo, because she can create giant fists, but I don't see why you'd need giant fists. This guy, because he can root people in place, but there's really no reason to need to do that other than when he's in combat. Kaminari, because the only thing he can do is zap people with lightning, and that doesn't really work any other time. Kirishima and Tetsu, because they are basically just really strong, but not really strong actually, they're really durable and defensive. Tsuburaba, because he creates solid air, which is good for defense, but that's it. Mount Lady, because being tall, I'm tall. I mean, what's the difference? You know, being giant's a different story, and that's really only useful in combat. You would never need to be giant in everyday life. Midnight, because putting other people to sleep might be kind of useful, but you can't put yourself to sleep, so what's the point? This guy, because you can only copy quirks, and you can't copy quirks outside of combat. And you can only keep it for a certain amount of time, so you can't go copy... You know what? No. I just had a revelation. He can copy Yayorozu's quirk, and in the 10 minutes he has it, he can create gold. And then he could be rich. Literally, if I was Yayorozu, I'd do him a favor and just say, hey, need to copy my quirk for a few minutes? I would ask her, honestly. I'd be like, hey, is it okay if I do this? Or the way it works is all he has to do is touch somebody. So I'd just like walk past her and just like slightly tap her and she won't even notice. And then boom, I have her quirk and I create a bunch of gold and I sell all that gold and I'm rich. Boom, easy. Mustard guy because he produces mustard gas. 13 because he disintegrates everything. This guy because he turns people into mud. This guy because he can shoot really well. And Hero Killer Stain because why would you need to paralyze somebody and how would you even be able to taste their blood in order to be used outside of combat? And I wonder how people like Stain discover how their quirks work, you know? Same with Himiko Toga, you know? Stain, why would he be tasting someone else's blood to even discover that he has that ability, you know what I mean? And like Toga even worse so, because she needs a lot of people's blood to transform into them. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, how do you discover that you have that ability? You know what I mean? How? I mean, maybe there's some sort of test and like a doctor thing that you can do where like there's a doctor who tells you what your quirk is and there's some way you can tell that that works. I really don't know. I don't know how you discover you have an ability like that, you know, because there's so much setup that's required to make it work. Whereas simple quirks like Endeavor that are fire quirk because they say quirks are all physical abilities, so everybody activates them the same way. But like when you have different prep you have to do for it, like Toga, like Stain, it doesn't make any sense, honestly. I mean, Sato's even makes some sense when you think about it. And the reason why I say that Sato's makes sense is because the dude ate a cake one day and then felt stronger and he discovered it from there. So that makes sense. That will be it for the video though, guys. Twitter.com/AnimeAnalysisYT. Highly recommend you guys head over there for updates, for my reactions on different shows. Hopefully nothing that'll spoil you. I highly doubt it will. I'm only watching 3 shows right now. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys agree with my list. If not, comment down below and make your own. I think that would be a great idea. You guys are great. Thank you guys so much for being a part of today's video. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. That's going to be on your screen. It probably already has been for quite a while. This has been AnimeAnalysis. I'll see you next time.